What's going on, my people? How you guys doing? This is the Family Cash Machine. I'm Eric Brent, and we're coming to you guys on this Friday with a strong message. And I want you guys to like and subscribe to the channel. Before we get started with the subject, we're going to talk about Black economics versus Black politics. We want to deal with this issue. There's a lot of information that's available now regarding this, our political situation and our economic situation. So again, like and subscribe to the channel. There'll be more information coming out. We do have our own ebook that's underneath here you can get for free. Go ahead and grab that ebook and take the free economic course that we have called the Phoenix course. You'll learn a lot in that course for free. Take advantage of free stuff. And here we go into the subject about Black economics. There has been the conventional wisdom of our people for years throughout the diaspora. Black people around the world who's been displaced through this thing called slavery. We all have, especially here in the United States, and we're really focused on the United States, we have had this notion that we needed to gain political power. We needed to gain political influence. And I understand where that came from. I understand it because there was a time when we all coming through slavery. Actually, slavery was regulated, and there was laws passed that you were someone's property. And so this was done through politicians. This was done by lawmakers. And so when we got out of slavery, there was laws created to suppress us and keep us down. So I can understand where this conventional wisdom came from, is that we needed to gain political power because we couldn't vote. There was laws that made us not be able to vote, not be able to be counted. And even in the Constitution, we only are counted as 3/5 of a human being. So there's a conventional wisdom created amongst our people that we needed to gain political power. We need to get power to vote. And not only vote, we need to put our own people in position, because Black politicians will feel the pain of Black people, and they will make changes that will benefit our people as lawmakers. Okay, well, that was not right. That was wrong, actually, assumption. But I can understand, again, like I said, how we got that assumption, because all the different injustices against us, there were actually laws made to enforce that. Now, there's a book out that I read years ago called White Law, Black Resistance by Dr. Frances Berry. And she shows throughout history where every time Black people got involved in some type of industry or got involved in some type of movement or business or certain categories of things in society, laws changed. They changed the laws as Black people changed their activities. And so I can again understand the assumption of where this comes from. And so again, back in the early 20s and 30s, there was a guy in our history, one of our great ones. And I'm going to talk about a couple of great ones that you guys have forgotten, or for some reason, conventional history has forgotten them when it comes to Black History Month, February, which is coming up now. Marcus Garvey, as I studied about him, very powerful, amazing guy who, for some reason, history is kind of glossing over him very, very briefly. And if you study Marcus Garvey, you'll see that at the time Marcus Garvey was here in the 20s and 30s, he had over 50% of the Black support. Wow! That's amazing, because it is nothing that Black people today 50% agree on. I mean, to have 50% of the support of the Black community is powerful. And the government didn't like it. White society didn't like it. They trumped up charges on him, and they got him out, exiled out the country for bail fraud. But this guy had ships, and his attitude, and his whole philosophy was Black people go back to Africa. That was his philosophy, is we need to go back to our own. We need to regroup and get back to where we started, and get away from these people who didn't want us around them. excluded us from economics, excluded us from political power, excluded us from any kind of strong position in this country. And so that was his concept. He had 50% of the support of the black community. Malcolm X's mother and father were strong supporters of Marcus Garvey. Elijah Muhammad, who was the author of the Nation of Islam, was a follower of Marcus Garvey. And it's believed that Marcus Garvey had a strong influence on Daddy Grace, Father Divine, all of these strong images in the black community that developed huge organizations. They were influenced by Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey attitude was separate pretty much. And so then we got Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad came along in the 30s. I think they started the nation in the 30s all the way up to around the 70s or 80s, and Farrakhan is still doing his thing in the nation. But I want to talk a little bit about Elijah Muhammad, because when I look at his economic program, his program was black man do for self or suffer the consequences. And under Elijah Muhammad, if you guys go and watch, this is not a Muslim video, this is just, I'm talking economics. We're dealing with economics, we're dealing with money. Okay, and under, when Elijah Muhammad was talking to our people, he basically was teaching self-economics, self-reliance. And so there were 75 schools. If you guys go watch this video called Savior's Day 1974, there's a gentleman that comes up there, secretary, and speaks, and he shows all the things that the Nation of Islam had at that time. And I was like, wow, it was $1 billion entity. $1 billion entity at that time. Watch what I'm, just go watch what I'm saying. And this guy, Elijah Muhammad, he taught black economics. He taught black men go for self and suffer the consequences. They had 75, listen to me. Just hold on, I'm getting to something. I'm gonna get more to modern day stuff and Barack Obama and all that, it's coming. Listen to what I'm saying, pay attention. This is very vital. This is why they don't talk about Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Daddy Grace, Father Divine. They don't talk about these people in history. They don't talk about Reginald Lewis, who's a modern guy. They don't talk about these people. They don't talk about these people. And I want you guys to understand this stuff. Toussaint Louverture. They don't talk about these people in black history. Elijah Muhammad had 75 schools from kindergarten to high school. Nobody's done that in history. Not Martin Luther King, not Frederick Douglass. I mean, nobody. W. Du Bois. We go down the list. Nobody's done that. He had 75 schools, and they had ships bringing the fish in. They had farmland. They had their own tomatoes, their own lettuce, their own onions. They had their own eggs. They had their own beef and cows, and they had their own sheep and lamb and chickens. And they had I think they had a huge trucking company shipping all of these goods to their grocery stores. They had grocery stores all over the country. They had 2 in Los Angeles. They had them everywhere. They were pretty much self-reliant and independent. And it was amazing to read that in history, because nobody's ever done that, ever has matched that, period. So let's fast forward to today. Today, we went from 1965, we had 1,500 black politicians, till today over 10,000 black politicians. And what the research finds is we had a faster economic growth from the 40s to the 70s, when they had what was called Jim Crow laws. Our economic growth was faster with no politicians, with no black politicians. That's interesting. I thought that was very interesting. And we even went to the point where we have a black president, and he was elected twice. So we've gained in political power, but under this since 1964, I think we started the war on poverty. When they started the war on poverty, they had welfare started. And then they also had the housing project started. Well, in that period, blacks and whites, poverty stayed the same. But in the 1940s, Black people actually exceeded white people in labor, in jobs. And the poverty rate for black people went down some 40% when we had no political power. This is some deep numbers for me. This is deep. This is deep. So listen to what I'm saying. Now we got over 10,000 black politicians. And we thought that we needed political power. We thought we need to get the power to vote. We need to get the power to have more politicians that are black to see how we see it and can implement laws that will help us economically to grow as a people. Interesting, and I understand why we had that concept, because again, there were so many white politicians that passed laws that negatively affected us economically. So we felt like, okay, the root to this is to get economic power. It's very deceptive how these people move. It's very deceptive. So we fall for the deception. We fell for the deception. And again, like I said, I'm not faulting my people because I can understand how we created this concept that we needed political power. Okay. Now, when I looked at the situation in Baltimore that happened when this black man in custody died, and the whole city went up in smoke because of so much police brutality, and there had been several instances of black men dying in the police custody and by white men, and it just got to a point where they just blew up in Bmore, in Baltimore. Now, when I look at that political situation, the political environment there, they had a black mayor, they had a black police chief, they had a black councilman, and they also had 40% of their police force black. So actually, having a black political power has worked it inversely, has actually worked it negative. Because when we had no black political power, we were gaining economically. But when we started to amass black political power and these blacks started implementing social government programs for our people, we actually started declining economically. Interesting. This is the numbers. So at one time, like I said, we thought politics was the gateway to black progress. But what has happened is these black politicians have actually gained individual success, but it has been no success for our people as a whole, economically. Now, when I'm thinking, what is very, very interesting to me is Barack Obama. Barack Obama came into office, and I just kind of Googled this, and I looked at, I saw this one day, and it kind of shocked me. Barack Obama came into office at a time when Zimbabwe was in sanctions. Zimbabwe been under sanctions for almost 30 years now. It's been a long time. And how did they get under sanctions? Well, Zimbabwe come under my radar because it's one of the countries that economists study because their dollar hyperinflated. So in order to study hyperinflation, we look at Zimbabwe, we look at Germany, we look at Venezuela. You know, these countries have witnessed hyperinflation. So in Zimbabwe, there were people in the streets saying, starving billionaire. I mean, that sounds like crazy, right? But the dollar had become so valueless that there were people that had billions of dollars, but it wasn't enough to buy food because the dollar had no value. I mean, that doesn't even register to an American who has lived in an era where the American dollar has dominated the global spectrum. That doesn't even register for you. But there was a time in Zimbabwe where people were using their dollars as wallpaper. Just go pull it up to YouTube. And so I never realized that that came behind sanctions. And sanctions is a wicked, wicked economic tool that they use to whoop someone into submission of what they're trying to do. How did they get under sanctions? Well, President Mugabe decided to take land from whites and give it to the natural owners that were black people whose fathers had been there for generations and generations and generations. He took the land from the whites and gave it back to its rightful owners. Nothing wrong with that. Because how did those whites obtain those properties. Well, they came in and killed the owners, took the deeds, murdered and pillaged and colonialized, and they got the land illegally. So when Mugabe got into presidency, he gave the land back to the rightful owners of that land. And for that, the EU and America put sanctions on it. Okay, that's how they got sanctions. And sanctions right now is they're about to starve in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is about to go through starvation. And Barack Obama, when he got in office, he could have lifted those sanctions off of them because it had been going for so long. And it was nothing but a white lash from America and Europe because Mugabe put the land back in the hands of its rightful owners. Wow, this is economics, this is money. You guys got to understand what economics is. Economics, sanctions mean that no bank can deal with you. Nobody can do business with you. If they do, they put them in sanctions. So you're isolated out of economics. Wicked, 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 wicked thing that they do called sanctions. So anyway, long story short, Obama never did lift the sanctions. And Obama's half African. I thought, why wouldn't you help your African brother? We're talking about politics and economics. Now, when you look at the personal economics of Obama, when he got into office in 2007, the end of 2007, Barack Obama was worth $1.3 million. By the time Obama got out of office, Obama was worth $40 billion. What the hell? You guys got to pay attention to what's going on. You're not paying attention. You thought by putting a black president in there, it was going to change the condition of you. I saw people falling out, crying, and all that. You know, I really didn't vote that much before Barack Obama because I didn't think the politics was the gateway to our success. I thought it was economics, you know, because when I look at the Asian community have the least politicians in office. Name a politician that's Asian. Can you name one? Most of us can't name one. Guess what? They have gotten, in the last 40 years, the biggest economic growth of any group of people. And they don't have the least politicians. Go figure. Go figure. So again, you guys, Barack Obama and other politicians, they have progressed individually. But our people as a whole have not progressed economically. This is the whole hard facts. These are the numbers. Because again, under Jim Crow, we started closing the gap of white wealth and black wealth. But once we integrated and once we started gaining political power, we fell under this illusion that we got to get political power. We got to go vote, rock the vote, go vote, put a black politician in. But there has been no evidence of black economic growth. And we have went from 1,500, listen, 1965, 1,500 politicians we had to over 10,000 today. We got aldermen, we got mayors, we got senators, we got congressmen, police chiefs. And our economic situation has declined. Wow. It's interesting. I thought that was very interesting. So we're going to get ready to close this out. And I think that for me, the power is not in politics. The power for us is in self-pride. The power is in understanding black economics, understanding cooperative economics. The power is in us taking back our black community, policing our own black community, deciding what areas stuff can happen and what areas is just disallowed. This area, that stuff is disallowed. We need to police our own neighborhoods. We need to take back all the businesses in the black community that foreigners have come in and take over. That's going to be our road to success. Because today, Wall Street Journal shows black people have more millionaires than ever in the history of this world. But the poverty level has grown faster than any other time. Wow. Something wrong. We missing something. There's something we miss. Again, I'm about black economics. The Family Cash Machine, we teach a generational wealth. And we understand that wealth is just not about money. When I say generational wealth, they say, oh, well, he ain't no multimillionaire. Yeah, but guess what? I've been one twice. And it's easy to lose it if you don't have knowledge. You have to have the knowledge and information of trust funds, corporations. You have to know the game of money and how it works. You have to understand how to maneuver like chess. Or you'll just be rich and not rich. Rich and not rich. And this is what's been happening to us over the years. So when I say generational wealth, the Family Cash Machine is about generational wealth. If you leave your family with $1 million, that's not generational wealth. That can be taken in a few days. But if you leave your family with $1 million and a financial blueprint, and you leave your family with plans and financial education, that 1 million can turn into generational wealth. But if you leave your family with 40 million and you're an athlete or you're an entertainer, in 5 years they can be broke because they don't have the knowledge and information on how to perpetuate that into the next level. So wealth is not just riches. Wealth is knowledge and wisdom and understanding of money. And wealth is also a certain energy, it's a certain chemistry and elements and ingredients that goes into it. Like I said, we need to get back to self-pride. We need to get back to Black economics. We need to get back to family, to marriage, to fatherhood, motherhood, family values. These are the things that will create generational wealth. So with that, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. Like and subscribe to my channel. Grab that free book, that free ebook that I'm gonna have under this video. And also inside the ebook, you'll see a link, FamilyCashMachine.net. Go and take the free Phoenix class. It's free. And it'll teach you about cryptocurrency and money and how things are starting to work. But at the same time, like, you guys might say, well, he talks about cryptocurrency a lot. What does that got to do with Black economics? It has a lot to do with it. Because cryptocurrency was created by an anonymous person who was a cryptographer, and he got together with a lot of other cryptographers, which is coding. And it's hard to break those codes, but that code allows people to do peer-to-peer transactions. And that is a great tool right now for Black economic growth, because right now people are getting ready to starve in Zimbabwe. So individuals around the world can send cryptocurrencies to other individuals on the phone and not be on the radar and not violate sanctions. Wow. If you send somebody a PayPal right now to Zimbabwe, you will be under sanctions. You will get violated. You could go to jail. And why should we let millions of people starve because the United States and Europe are pissed off that some president years ago who's not even living there anymore gave back land to the rightful owners of the land? Why should the people suffer? See? So cryptocurrency allows us to support one another financially, to help one another, to network with one another without any bank involvement, without any government sanctioning us or reprimanding us for doing the human thing. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. This is Eric Brent, Family Cash Machine. Follow the money, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.